the NFL hasn't given you any shortage of motivation, I don't feel like, because I'll just be honest, man, I think you're not respected enough. I mean, like, and true football players know, like football fans of your teams know that, but, the general public, I feel like for a couple reasons, because you've bounced around, so like fans haven't gotten a chance to know you well enough, like year to
Absolutely.
year, number one. And number two, like, you've been incredibly consistent. You've been one of only a few players to have 8 sacks through your first 5, 6 years of your career. But I just don't feel like for some reason people have realized how consistent and how great you've been. Why do you think that is, bro?
Like you said, man, not really having a true home, after the little whole Jacksonville, era. So, hopefully Indy is a spot where I can play, the rest of my career. But, that's what motivates me as well. Going back to your first question, not having that respect, that's what drives me each and every morning when I wake up to go do sled drags, do bell squats with chains and bands, and, going above and beyond so I'm prepared, when the season kicks off.
What's your mindset on game day? Like what kind of, when you walk out of the tunnel, what's in your head?
Well, I kind of just, scroll past certain legends on my phone and just watch, the way they play the game. One Sunday I may throw on Lawrence Taylor. Another Sunday I might throw on Chris Dolman. I'm just watching guys, watching how they impacted the game. And I just try to, mimic that on Sunday.
We're going to Indy this year. Like, where's your head at now? Because I know you talked about Vegas being up and down. Like, are you happy headed into Indy where you are right now, 27 years old?
Yeah, absolutely. I got a lot of football left in me, man. I feel really, really, really good. And, I'm going to play this game as long as I can just to prove my point. To go down as one of the best, to play this position. And going into Indy, to answer your question, I'm just, super, super optimistic, but I'm really, really grateful that I'm back with a defensive coordinator that allows me to be me and play my style of play.
What does that mean? Because you're reuniting with Gus Bradley. What does that mean, your style of play? What is your style of play, and how are you best used?
Yeah, my style of play is, being able to just, get off the ball freely and, reacting on the fly. And we have a thing in Indy now that we go by. It's like our motto, whatever. So rush means run until something happens. And I love the style. Yeah, I love you like that. I love that style.
I do, because I can do that. Yeah, it's simple enough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're familiar with the defense. They ran it in Philly where you can just line up wide nine and take off. So I'm just super excited about that. It just allows you to have more chances to, affect the quarterback and affect the run on first and second down.
People always ask me, like, what's it like rushing across from a great player? How about rushing next to a great player? That's what I don't think people understand is, to me, I think a tackle next to me, I'd rather have that than a bookend. So, you're going into Indy and you get to rush with Buckner, who I think is amazing. You guys are going to work great together. Like, talk to me about the limitless possibilities that exist when you have somebody right inside, right there in that three.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Some of the greatest rushers on the end had a great three technique next to them. You know what I'm saying? And, being able to have Buckner next to me is, tremendously helpful, not just for myself, but for the whole team entirely. Because, when you got two guys on the same page that can affect the quarterback, hey, we might take three guys and, the other two guys can eat. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. So, being able to work certain moves with them, work certain games, text games, exit games, and things of that nature, it should definitely help us be successful this season.
And it's the naturals too. Like, you get a feel for what that dude how he likes to rush. He gets a feel for how you like to rush. And like, I always say this, if I'd have made more money at the end of my career, I would have given Fletcher Cox a cut. It's just so nice having a guy that gets vertical next to you that disrupts. And if you get blocked or somebody oversets you, hey, I can loop right back around inside. And it's almost like you can kind of non-verbally communicate with this guy once you get tight enough with him before the snap. Just a look, and we know what we're doing.
Absolutely. And you can also give them, code words. I'm pretty sure you did that in your career.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, when you guys on the same page, a three technique and a five technique, sky's the limit.
So what's your favorite move to hit and like drop somebody on? Because I know your cross chop's incredible. Like, you almost jump into your cross chop, like, which I think is pretty damn cool. I used to watch Robert Quinn do that, and then I'd go try it, and I'd be like, it's just not fucking working for me. I think I'll go with the long arm. But like, what's the key to landing that cross chop, and is there anything that actually feels sweeter when you land it?
Oh, man. I can't lie to you. The cross chop, that's my baby right there.
I know it is.
Yeah, that move, man, it can just free you up to just be able to make a game-changing play. And I feel like off of that move, there's so many other things you can do, because sometimes a guy, he's super scared to shoot that outside hand because that's the hand I'm aiming for when I do the cross chop, and I can just, hit a ghost move and just try to dip around them, or take that pad and all that leverage she just gave me and just work a long arm and stab to get to the quarterback. So, there's so many moves that you can work off of it. But my favorite position coach, of all time, Coach Rob Marinelli, told me that, the greatest rushers only have 2 to 3 moves that you have in your arsenal, and that's all you need. And if you can perfect those 2 to 3 moves, then you should be a super effective rusher in this league.
Well, yeah, Rod, like my D-line coach, Mike Waffle, was Rod's like a hero to him. I mean, all the best D-line coaches love Rod Marinelli, and the effort is always there. And when you get respect from a guy like that who's coached a lot of great players, I heard you talk about this, it feels great. I mean, he said that if you keep working, you could be in Canton. And, you're going to have those kind of numbers. I mean, you're already at 55 through 6 years. That's great. But, like, where it really shows up to me is when I hear that he calls Chris Ballard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Those guys go way back, when they built that Chicago defense with Peppers and, Urlacher and those guys. So I'm just, super, like I said, super blessed and grateful to be able to have, a mentor like that.
I had ups and downs when I played, like, for sure. And, our upbringings are way different. You've been through a lot more shit than me. But sometimes, I wonder how much of it are we putting the pressure on ourselves? Being on that one number, dude, that one number, that number that gets us paid or doesn't get us paid. It's the sacks, right? Even if you're playing great, even if you have 8 pressures, even if you have 5 hits, even if you won 70% of your rushes, if you don't get there, people are looking at you funny. And I feel like sometimes we as rushers put like a baseball amount of mental pressure on ourselves to get home. You know what I mean?
It's true. Like, you played a long time, so you can definitely attest to this. When you go out there and just have fun and play the game that you always played growing up as a kid, the sacks come out of nowhere. Yes. When you go out there and you put pressure on yourself mentally, like, I got to get this number of sacks that I need 2 or 3, you come back home with none. So, like, when you just go out there and you just trust the process favors nobody, you'll eventually, get what's, deserving upon you. So that's how I feel.
Sometimes, though, I'll be feeling like the process is favoring somebody else. If I win, if I hit a clean spin or whatever, like, and the ball's gone, especially, like, if the coverage isn't great. So I just feel like rushers low-key put as much pressure on themselves as any position in football because of that one number. You know what I mean? And absolutely. I just think sometimes it's not healthy. You make a great point. Like, go out there and just fucking play. It's the hardest thing to do is do that.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Have fun. My best games is when I just have fun, man. Some of my lowest moments, I would talk to your dad, Howie, you know what I'm saying? We would go back and forth, and I remember it vividly. It was a certain game, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks and I didn't have a sack or whatever, and he was just telling me, you just got to trust the process, and they come in bunches. And sure enough, the week after, I think it was Chicago or something like that, I came out with 2 sacks, you know what I'm saying? So that's another person that helped me to just maneuver through a lot of situations as well, going through that season in Vegas, man. Just getting information from a Hall of Famer, that meant a lot.
Yeah, I was with him a couple of times when he was hitting you up and listening to, man, the worst is when you start the year and you don't get that first one for a couple of weeks. Like, you feel like the whole world is, like, kind of weighing you down, dude.
Right.
If you can go out in week 1 and get a 2-piece, you're going to the Pro Bowl, right? Because you're playing with house money and you're doing exactly what you talked about, which is then having fun week 2 through 17.
Absolutely. It's the first one is the hardest one to get, but when you get it, it's like a weight off your shoulders.
Hell yeah, dude. I know the feeling, man. And I was always a slower starter because I feel like in training camp, it's hard to get in a rhythm and, like, work all your stuff because there's less practices now. Like, when I got in the league, it was old CBA. We had 2-a-days. You had more one-on-one pass rush, which sucks, but you get to work your craft. Like, nobody wants to take a bunch of reps in the 100-degree weather, but that's where, like, you can get better, and we don't do that as much anymore. And then preseason, people are running basic shit because they don't want to get their quarterback killed, and so you can't really let it loose. And then those first third downs come, and you're like, damn, I'm rusty. So it's almost like now the first month of the season is like getting into a rhythm.
Absolutely. That's why you always should find time in training camp, as a defensive lineman to just, work on your steps after practice, work on a pass dummy, work on that, Also, bring an offensive lineman with you, a guy that's a starter or a guy that's on practice squad to give you some sets so you can just work your moves, man. Stuff like that. Always putting the extra work in.
No question, man. Like get a young guy that can't say no.
Absolutely. There you go. Get a rookie.
Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.